Today we're going to be crocheting this beautiful tote bag. You can make it in any place you like. Very easy project. We're going to be starting off with a weight 4 yarn. You'll need a 4.5 crochet hook, scissors, and a button to close up the bag. Let's get right into it. We're going to go ahead and get started with the slip knot. And how I make my slip knot is I just wrap the yarn around my finger twice, take the yarn that's in the back and pull it in front, and take the yarn that's not in the back and pull that in front. This creates a loop on your finger. Insert your hook into there and pull on the working yarn. And now you want to chain 4. After you chain 4, you're going to go into the first chain right there with the slip stitch. So let's insert your hook, yarn over, and pull through both loops. And now you've created a circle. So we're going to work all of our stitches in this circle right here. So from here, after you've created your circle, we're going to chain up 3. So there we have our chain 3. And from here, we're going to work 12 stitches right in that hole that we created at the beginning. This chain 3 does not count as a stitch, so I like to just put my needle in first just to make sure I know where the hole is, and then I go in with the double crochet. And like I said before, we're just going to add 12 double crochet into this circle. So I'm going to let this play for a bit. I will speed it up just so you can see what it looks like visually. And then I'll meet you back at the end of the row. So you do want to make sure you're weaving your ends as you are going around. So you can see my tail end right there. Just make sure you're working it in while you make your 12 double crochet. And I believe I'm coming to my last double crochet right now. Make sure to always count. And after making your 12 double crochet, I like to slip stitch into the top of the first double crochet. It's just easier to see rather than the chain stitch, so that's how I like to do it. So just slip your hook under, yarn over, and pull through 2. Okay, so now you should have something that looks like this. And we're gonna go ahead and get started with round 2. So chain up 3 and turn your work. And we're going to go into that very first stitch right there. So we're going to put 2 double crochet in each and every stitch. So right here, 2 double crochet. So the first stitch does not count as a stitch this time. That chain 3 does not count as a stitch. So this next stitch, we'll insert 2 more double crochet. And the next stitch, which is right here, 2 more double crochet again. So we had 12 in total. When you're done, you should have 24, okay? So 24 double crochet in total, 2 double crochet in each stitch all around, and I'll meet you back at the end of the round. Okay, so count your stitches one more time and make sure you have 24. And because the stitch, this one, didn't count as a stitch from below, we're going to go ahead and join the circle at the top of the first double crochet. So not the chain stitch, but the double crochet right here. So just insert your hook, yarn over, and pull through 2 to close the circle. And then you should have something that looks like this. So moving right along to round 3, we're going to make some clusters. So in this stitch, go ahead and chain up 3, don't turn your work, and we're going to go in with yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 and stop, and do that again in the same stitch, yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 and stop. You have 3 loops on your hook, and you want to go ahead and yarn over and pull through all 3 of those loops, and now you've made a cluster. So from here, you're going to chain up 1 and go into the next stitch and do the same exact thing, but you're going to do it 3 times. So the chain 3 did count as a stitch this time. So when you get into the next stitch, you need 3 of those double crochets, like unfinished double crochets. So when you go into your next stitch, you'll have 4 loops on the hook. So then from there you want to yarn over and pull through all 4 loops and chain 1. And you'll repeat that for all 24 stitches. So let's yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, stop. And then you repeat that for a total of 3 times in every stitch. And just remember you should have 4 loops on your hook before you yarn over and pull through all of your loops. So it'll look like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, and pull through all of those loops. So go ahead and chain one after that, and I'll meet you back at the end of the round. So here we are at the end of the row. So I'm just going to finish off this last cluster with a chain one, and we're going to insert our last cluster into the very last stitch. Finish it off with a chain one, and we're going to slip stitch to join right here at the top of the first cluster. So yarn over and pull through two, and that's the end of round 3. You should have something that looks like this. So you want to go ahead and chain 3, and for this next round we're working in these chain spaces. So go ahead and turn your work, and I'll show you. We're going to do the same thing before, but with an extra one right in this space. So you're going to yarn over and do the double crochet and don't complete it. So you're going to do this for a total of 3 times in the first chain space, and you should have 4 loops on your hook before you yarn over and pull through all, and then chain up 1. So now find the next chain space, and you're going to yarn over and do that for a total of 4 times the unfinished double crochets. So before you pull through all loops, you will have 5 loops on your hook. So it will look a little something like this, and then yarn over and pull through all 5 and chain 1. So find the next chain space and go ahead and repeat that. So we're putting 4 of the uncompleted double crochets in each of the chain spaces to create a cluster. So the only difference with this one is the clusters before had 3 double crochets, and these clusters have 4. So it's still pull through all loops and chain. Then in the next chain space again, put your 4 double crochets for your cluster, and do that in every chain space in the round. You should have a total again of 24 clusters in total, and I'll meet you at the end of the round. So here we are at the end of the round, and basically from here we have 1 chain space left to add the clusters. I'm just counting here to double check. I always double check no matter what. So here we're at 23, and then I'm just making my last cluster right here. So again, for this round, 5 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 5, and chain up 1. So again, we're going to slip stitch to join at the top of the first cluster, and this will end off this round. And then you should have something that looks a bit like this. So now moving on to round 5, you're going to go ahead and chain up 4, and we're going to be working in the chain spaces. So turn your work, and at this point the tail end was bothering me, so go ahead and cut that if you have not cut it already. And in the chain space we will work 2 triple crochet into this stitch right here. Okay, so for a triple crochet, if you don't know what it is, I'll show you again. It's yarn over twice, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and that's a triple crochet. Then we're going to chain 1, and in the next chain space we're going to insert 3 double crochets. So these are regular double crochets, they're not a cluster, so just go as normal, 3 regular double crochets and chain 1. Again, in the next space we're going to do 3 regular double crochets, and after you finish your 3 double crochets, again you'll chain 1. And you want to repeat this for a total of 5 times. So we just did it twice, so in the next chain space again, your 3 double crochets and chain 1, and stop once you've done this 5 times. Okay, so just finishing up the 5th one with our chain 1, and in the next chain space right here we're going to go in with 3 triple crochets. So 3 regular triple crochets, right? We're not making any clusters now. We're basically working the basics of a granny square. So this is the 3rd one here, and then you'll chain 1, and in the same chain stitch 3 more treble crochet. So this is the corner of our granny square. And of course after the 3 you chain 1, and then in the next chain space you're going to go in again with the 3 double crochet like we did before and chain 1. And same as before, you want to repeat that in the next 4 chain spaces for a total of the 3 double crochet chain 1. Okay, so 1 2 3 4 5, you'll repeat it for that. Then you'll have something that looks like this, and now we're back at our corner. So in our corner we make treble crochet. So again, 3 treble crochet right there in this chain space. After your 3 treble crochet, you're going to go ahead and chain 1. And after you chain 1, you're going to insert 3 more treble crochet in the same exact stitch, making our next corner of the granny square. So basically we're repeating this all the way around with the 5 3 double crochet and chain in between each of the treble crochet corners, and I'll meet you back at the end of the round. So here we are at the end of the round, and you'll always find me counting my stitches. So for the double crochet, 1 2 3 4 5, and we're going to go in and insert 3 treble crochet in the same corner that we started in, and then we're going to chain 1 and connect. Okay, so all in that same exact stitch. That's the 3rd one, and chain 1 to connect because we already did 3 at the beginning of the round. So this is the end of round 5, and you'll have something that looks like this. Okay, and round 6 is our last round. It's the same as round 5, except you're going to chain up 3, and we're using all double crochet. So chain up 3, turn your work, and work in that first chain space, and insert 2 double crochet into that chain space. And after you finish your 2 double crochet, you want to chain 1, and in the next chain space we're going to insert 3 double crochet like we were doing before, and then chain 1. So in every chain space you're going to insert 3 double crochet and chain 1 until you meet yourself at a corner. So I'm going to meet you at the corner. So for round 6, in between each corner, you should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that's how you know you're at your corner. So finish off with your chain 1 and go into the corner with 3 double crochet. Then chain 1, and in the same exact chain 1 space, 3 more double crochet, and then you would have completed your corner. So after you're done your corner like this, repeat exactly what we just did, which was the 3 double crochet chain 1 6 times, make your corner, and repeat that all the way until you get back to the beginning of the round, and I'll meet you there and just finish off the square with you. So here we are at the end of the round. I'm just counting, and we're going to go into that very first chain space right here with 3 double crochet, and after you finish your 3rd double crochet, just like we always do, you're going to chain up 1 and join at the top of that first stitch to close off and make a corner and end round 6. Okay, and at the end of round 6, this is basically what we're working with, and you can go ahead and chain 1 and cut your work. So from here, basically you want to go ahead and create 3 more of the exact same square. This yarn is ombre, that's the only reason they all look slightly different, so it just makes the pack look really unique. So we actually need to stitch the squares together. I already have 2 of them stitched together, but I'm gonna undo the seam to show you how I did it. I use single crochet. So for your first square, you can chain up and cut 1, but for any of your other squares, you don't necessarily have to. But to join it, take your second square. I still have the yarn connected. And then you're going to line it up in the corner. I like to line it up wherever the tail end is so I can weave it as I go. So I'm going to insert my hook. Then I'm going to insert my hook into the first chain space, into the square that it's already on. So right there, just go underneath. And then I'm going to go to the same chain space, but on the second square, right underneath. And now I'm going to line up the loose ends so I can work them in as I go. I'm going to bring my yarn over to my hook, and then this is the hole, just so you can see again. I'm going to yarn over and pull up a loop through the first square, and I'm going to pull that loop up through the second square. I'm going to yarn over and pull through 2 for my first single crochet. It can be a little bit difficult. So now you just want to line up all your stitches, make sure they're even, and grab that tail end and go under both loops of both stitches and insert a single crochet in every stitch along this side. So just stitch this 2 squares together with a single crochet, including in the chain space. So all of the double crochet stitches will be connected with a single crochet, as well as the chain space. So now we're at the edge, the very edge. So we're going into this last stitch, and I go into the corner stitch. The chain 1 is the last stitch I go into. Then I chain 1, cut my work, and pull through the yarn. Remember, this is yarn I reused, so it's already cut. And here I'm just weaving my ends. So this is how I weave my ends. I just go in and out and in and out between every stitch. And then I'm going to yarn over and pull my yarn through all those stitches. And then I'll cut the excess yarn that is sticking out. So this is what the seam looks like, and I'm going to go ahead and assemble all the rest of the squares and just put it in the order you'd like. The order doesn't necessarily matter too much, but if you do have a preference, decide how you want it now, because it would be so much of a hassle to change it later. So I'm just folding the bag now to show you how you would be assembling it. So all of the corners just come to the middle, and it makes this cute little square shape, just like this. So at this point, I am just playing around with the order of the bag to see which combinations I like, and bringing on the other bag I made for contrast to see how I should basically do it. But here I finally decided how I want it done, and we're going to go in with seaming these 2 sides right here. So it's very important to fold the bag how it's supposed to be, because this can get really confusing. So make sure that the first stitch you did is facing the outside. So this is a stitch, make sure it's on the outside, right? And then flip it over and fold the corners in for exactly how you want it to look, and it should look like a triangle. Okay, so basically we're going to make another seam like this, just on this side right here along this edge. We're going to start from the corner, and just like we did before, we're going to take our yarn and we're going to insert our hook into the chain 1 space from the corners of each of these triangles. So right there, that's the first chain 1 space, and the second chain 1 space is right there. Put your yarn over your hook and pull up a loop through both corners and pull through, and then get your tail ends and work a single crochet in all of the stitches all the way down the edge of the both squares. And I just pull up a loop and single crochet to reattach my yarn. If you have a different way that you do it, just use the way that you like best. So here's the seam completed, and now we have like half of the bag stitched together. So you want to grab another square and line it up where you want it to be and fold it in. So basically the next stitch that makes sense is just doing these 2 sides right here. right there because that's where the yarn is. So I'm just gonna go down from the corner and stitch these sides together. So insert your hook again, put your hook under the chain 1 space of the new square, and just attach it with a single crochet. So just yarn over, pull up a loop, and yarn over, pull through 2, and then line up the side that's facing this triangle at the bottom, and go ahead and do exactly what we did before. Just stitch these 2 sides together with a single crochet until you meet the next corner. So I just made it to the corner. This is the side we came from, and we just came down here. So this is where we just ended. So you're going to flip your work and make sure it's folded, and we're going to continue going up this edge right here. So these are the 2 sides we're connecting until we get to the middle of the squares. So once you made it to the middle, you have your last square left. So you want to go ahead and take this square and find the corner. I'm just pulling up a loop, the yarn is still connected, and I'm going to add a stitch marker. My stitch marker is just some scrap yarn. If you have a real stitch marker, you can use it, but this is just so I can identify the corner that I want to be in the middle. This is strictly for design purposes. It doesn't really matter what corner is in there at all. I'm also just using this corner because it's a corner that already has yarn attached to it, so when I weave in ends, it will just be easier, or if I want to start crocheting from there, it's just easier. But you can use any corner you want, it will all work exactly the same. So you want to pick up the yarn that we were still using from before, and take this corner and always go under the chain space and go in with a single crochet to connect. So this side of the square, we're going to connect it to this side of the other square. Okay, and you always want to make sure all of your stitches are facing towards you. So we're just gonna go ahead and finish this side. So I've completed the single crochets, and this is the line we're working on. So we started from there, we came to the center, and this is the section I just finished. From here you can chain up 1 and cut your work, and now we'll be using the yarn from this other square to continue and complete the bag. Okay, so here we are at the center of the bag again. I'm just going to go ahead and remove that stitch marker. And this is the line now that we need to seam. So go ahead and insert your hook from the yarn that was already attached from this square. And same as always, you're going to put your hook underneath that chain 1 space in both squares, and then go in with a single crochet, and then again with a single crochet all the way down the side of both these squares to connect them. So this is just one last visual just to see where we're at. So we're basically completing this last stitch of these 2 squares. It's actually making an X with all of the stitches, so just right along here. I just wanted to show you one more time where we're working on. And then once you make it to the corner, you can basically chain up 1 and cut your work to fasten off. At this point, you're done the body part of the bag. Your work is currently inside out because you can see all of your seams. So basically go ahead and weave in all of your ends and cut all the tail pieces of yarn that are sticking out that should not be. Basically, just clean up your project. And then next we'll move on to the button. So basically I have a couple different buttons. You can use any button you like. I'm just basically switching them out here to see which one I like to make my decision, and then it took me a while to figure out which one I wanted, and it's actually super simple to attach it here. So I lost the footage of me attaching the button, but it's okay because I'm going to show you it again, and you can also do whatever is easiest for you. So basically you're going to take a piece of yarn, maybe a foot long. It doesn't even need to be that long at all. And basically you're going to pull the yarn through one of the holes with your crochet hook. And then you're going to pull it through the second hole with your crochet hook again, or a yarn needle, whatever you have available to you. But basically just put one side through one hole, and the other side of the yarn through the second hole. And basically when you're doing that, you just want the yarn to go through at least 2 of the squares. Then from there you want to tie a pretty tight knot. Since this is weight 4 yarn, it's pretty strong, so don't worry, it shouldn't snap. And you can stop here, or you can basically repeat the process but in the opposite direction. And by that I mean you would just pull the 2 yarn ends up from behind from the 2 holes and tie another knot, and you can do that as many times as you want until you believe it's secure, and then you should have something that looks like this. So basically, to open the bag, it's really easy. It just slides out just like this. And then basically you're just going to want to hide the 2 strings that came from adding on the button. And now we'll work on the straps. So make a slip knot and chain up 5. After you chain up 5, you want to go into the 3rd stitch with a double crochet. And then add 1 double crochet in the remaining 2 stitches, so you'll be making a total of 3 double crochet. Then you're going to chain 3 and turn your work and insert 1 double crochet in each stitch. So that's going to be 3 double crochets again. You're going to chain up 3 again, turn your work and insert 3 double crochet into every stitch. And you're going to repeat this from anywhere from 50 to 60 rows. It just depends how long you like it. If you want it to be more purse style, maybe you could try something like 35 or 40 rows. Basically just make it to the length of your liking, but for me I did 60. So we are at our final step now. You have a strap, something that looks like this. We're going to go ahead and connect it. But go ahead to any corner of your bag and we're going to attach the strap. You can use the tail yarn if you'd like. Mine is really short, so if yours is as short as mine, definitely go ahead and attach new yarn and just do exactly what we did when we were single crocheting the squares together. So then weave in your tail end and do the exact same thing on the opposite side. Make sure when you're doing this, the seam is facing the inside of the bag and not the outside of the bag, so you won't see it when you're wearing it. And basically then the bag's done. Weave in any ends you missed and cut all the tail ends of yarn. And voila, you have your beautiful tote bag. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, just leave them down below. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.